There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know.
Hola, boa tarde, Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, the live stream. It is a live stream, second one today. Yes, Carl, you said you were stopping live streaming. Well, I kind of am. I don't live stream every morning, but I do the occasional live stream when it's a special occasion and I've got a special guest. And of course, Savvy Cat, Ana Caramuja, is a special guest and she'll be joining me in just a moment. I think she's setting things up so that she can stream through to the Savvy Cat channel as well. So good afternoon, good evening to you over there on Savvy Cat channel on YouTube. We've got a few things we'd like to talk or share with you, talk to you about this evening on this What's Up Portugal special, which I believe is quite a good time for people to see what we're doing in the United States, especially where, of course, Anna's been in the last 12 months and deals with a lot of clients moving from the United States to Portugal. A great article from CNBC Make It, I think that's what it's called. I retired to the #1 country Americans want to move to the most. I retired to the #1 country Americans want to move to. That would have been okay there with a full stop or a hyphen, wouldn't it? But the most, don't believe these three biggest lies. I think you can guess which country that is. And I think these are very interesting, these three reasons or three biggest lies as they're described by Alex Trias. Is it Alex Trias who moved? I think it is. He's the author, and I think it's the biggest lies that he's exposing for us. Revolut, an interesting story. Revolut are opening up or extending their offer, I suppose you could say, here in Portugal to launch ATMs, their own ATMs, and open an office in Portugal this summer. I thought they were already headquartered in Portugal, in Matosinhos anyway. Let's dive deeper into that a little bit later on when Anna's here. And by way of some light relief, which do you think is the busiest Portuguese beach? One of the busiest in the world, in fact. So which would that be? Portugal, of course, has many beaches. I found out how many islands it had last night. It has over 100 islands and definitely into double figures with inhabited islands as well. We might go into that too. But which Portuguese beach is one of the busiest in the world? I'll be sharing that with you as well. And Anna's got a great topic to discuss. The movement of Portuguese nationals from the rural areas. It was always seen as a lovely place to be. She's heard some disturbing anecdotal information, evidence from friends and associates who don't feel quite so safe in rural areas anymore with rising crime. So let's see what she has to say about that as well. Good evening to you, Donna. I think we're on at a good time to suit the United States, perhaps. Great to see you, Donna. And I hope you've been enjoying loads of content that we've been sharing on our YouTube channel. We get so many shorts that are really good, I think. I would say that, wouldn't I? But I think it's a really nice way to keep in touch with what we're doing with all the different presenters of Good Morning Portugal. Just little 1 and 2 minute bites. Carl Hyde, for example, he's just arrived in Madeira. He's sending me some fantastic videos. And every guest I have, I'll give you a little bit of a sampler. If you don't want to watch a whole 20 minutes, the show segments tend to only be 20, 30 minutes tops, sometimes even less than 20 minutes. So the shows aren't that long anymore, all the segments, which I think was the right thing to do. You can let me know about that in the chat. But even if 15, 20 minutes is too much, you can watch 1 or 2 minutes of shorts and see if you want to watch the whole thing on our YouTube channel. Thank you, Donna. Love you too. Love you, Carl, from Donna. And guess what? I think you liked the video I posted up from San Martinho de Porto this afternoon, setting up for the Santos Populares celebrations here in Portugal. Our patron saint, Sant Antonio, is being celebrated. And it begins tonight, of course, I think for about 10 days. The sound system was sounding amazing. The smell of food was fantastic. A lot of beautiful excitement and anticipation in the air as we get ready for the celebration of Sant Antonio. He's great as a patron saint. I only have to step out of my front door to see a little mural of him, some azulejos of Sant Antonio holding a small child. He is, of course, a patron saint of small children and lost things. So I think Portuguese people, your Portuguese grandma, if she loses something, she may well pray to Sant Antonio for help in finding that lost thing. So one more time, I'll just let you know, we'll be looking at I retired in the #1 country Americans want to move to the most. Don't believe these three biggest lies. So I will be having a look at that and chatting with Anna Karamujo of Savicat in just a moment when she joins us. The busiest beach in Portugal, one of the busiest in the world. Which one is it? And Revolut. I think this is good news. It's a challenge to the dinosaur banks of Portugal. I wonder what Anna thinks of that. So yeah, a bit of an update from Donna. Always good to hear these. Thank you, Donna. Anyone who's making their way here, thank you for giving us an update on how it's going. And of course, if there's anything we can do to help, do let me know as well in the chat. And I mean, some of you are members of the Portugal Club. You can DM me there. It's a great way of staying in touch and keeping in contact with me. Anna, are you okay in the background there? I think she's. We'll bring her on in a moment, and you might have to do your patching through to YouTube live. Oh, I think she's just eating a very seasonal strawberry, or we won't bring her on just right. Okay. The other thing, Revolut, the #1 retirement country, and the most popular beach here in Portugal. Just cutting and pasting these into the comments for you, just as a little bit of a way to stimulate your response actually to some of these things here. So Revolut, are you a Revolut user? What do you think are the 3 biggest lies when it comes to moving to Portugal? And what's that busiest beach? Anna, can I bring you onto the screen? Can I give you a nice big round of applause? And I think she's having a little bit of tech rage. I shouldn't laugh. I should be helping, but I don't know what to do from here. So Donna, starting to sell household furniture on Facebook. Do you know that's a tried and trusted model, a method for many people who I know who've moved to Portugal? Facebook Marketplace seems to work really well in certain parts of the United States. And some people actually, when they're sort of liquidating their whole, I see you are streaming live. We can say let's bring her onto the screen, and we'll come back to that's a really good tip, a hack there from Donna. No, hold on a minute, that's not that's somebody on the phone. Not the round of applause I was looking for. Here she is.
Hi.
Wow. I've got to say, Anna,
I figured out how to do the tech thing.
Well, you know what? People are going to be very impressed to know how well you cope under pressure.
Yes, actually a thing. Yeah, I'm one of those persons that has fairly cool head when stressful things happen, but will stress out after they happen. It's kind of a funny thing.
Oh, I see. You have the adrenaline to help you, and then you sort of freak out afterwards when everything's managed. Okay, very good.
But it's good because at the time I generally deal with things pretty cool-headedly.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure, and you have to, don't you? Doing the work you do, which of course, maybe you could remind us for those people who are not familiar with you and what you do and how you help people moving to Portugal. What's your elevator pitch for Savicat Realty?
So Savicat Realty is a relocation and investment company that helps expats move to Portugal from a lifestyle perspective. We help with both rentals and buyers. We are a team fully of locals, and our goal is to help you find the best location and the best property for you and disrupt the local market as little as possible, so both sides have a positive experience.
Well, I think you might have said that before. And it's a lovely mission. It's a beautiful vision and mission, and I think that tells everyone everything they need to know about Savicat. And you and I will be hanging out and having a conversation for I don't know, anything upwards of a half an hour, seeing how things goes. We can answer questions if people persist and want more information. We'll stick around until about 8 o'clock if necessary. But then we've got a hard stop because we're Portuguese and we need to go out partying, don't we?
And it's actually still daylight at 8 p.m., which is quite shocking at this time. Like, it's still daylight at 9 p.m.
Yeah, the official sunset in Lisbon is 2058 tonight. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And that's gonna keep improving, of course, until the 21st. So it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful to be working in the evening.
Really long days now.
Yes, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. To get all that partying in. Hello from Massachusetts, from Alan Martins. Good evening to you. And the biggest lie in Portugal is that you will lose weight and not turn into an alcoholic. Well, that's a fair comment, Simon Bradshaw. Yep, fair play. Can't argue with that, can we? And we'll go to that article and some of the other things that we were hoping to talk about this evening. You had an interesting one, Anna. You suggested we might talk about this movement once to the countryside, now possibly away from the countryside. What's going on?
No, actually, I was very shocked because the past 2 weeks I've been going around and did some filming. I went to the Algarve, then I went to the Alentejo coast, and I'm also like later today after we finish here, I'm going to go to Caldas because my friend is going to take some of the furniture I have there because she's moving from Vila Nova de Cerveira, which is up north, almost near the
Wow.
border of Spain, to
Yeah.
Lisbon. It's a whole thing, and I'm helping her because she, like a typical Portuguese workaholic, she didn't have any vacations. She's going to finish her job on Friday and start a new job on Monday, and she only found an apartment on last weekend. And so I'm kind of helping her out, trying to actually have, a bed to sleep in when she starts working because the apartment was empty.
Wow. Is she a teacher?
No, she's an accountant.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, that's a very interesting switch around, isn't it? Villanova de Cerveira, we know from Tony Barbosa, who does a lot of work up that way. I don't know if you know Antonio Barbosa, but that's a great place, isn't it? A great part of the country. And
It's beautiful, but I was so shocked by some of the things she told me, and it's like even there the rents are getting quite high. She just pulled a quick search in the area, and there were a lot of apartments listed for 700. Some of them were 2 bedrooms, but some of them were 1 bedrooms. And I was like, really? Because she'll be renting, but not in the center of Lisbon. It's going to be like in the Mem Martins Algueirão area, which is a like half an hour drive, for 700 unfurnished. But still, I mean, it's Lisbon versus Cerveira.
Yeah, north, very northern, isn't it? You couldn't go much further north, and it's quite quiet and rural as well. That is quite surprising. Is that because people are commuting in and out of Spain? What's going on, or is it to get?
I have no idea why the rentals are so high. Like, she is also quite shocked. She had a pretty decent deal going on with her landlord, but looking at the options on the market, the options weren't decent at all. And in Lisbon, we are used to them not being decent. I mean, it's the capital. And she was looking for apartments since April, and she only managed last weekend because she had to give in. She's a very independent woman that she wanted to do everything on her own. She could not. She needed a guarantor, otherwise no one would rent her an apartment.
Really?
Yes, and it was a whole thing. And so she just managed to get it pretty close. And that's the thing, isn't it? Like, sometimes I have clients that get shocked with the things that we request because we need, proof of income, how many months you're willing to pay, how what kind of guarantees do you have, money in the bank. Like, the landlords will want as much guarantees as they need, and this is not really optional. I mean, they have 50, 100 people in the Lisbon area. There's 100 people for one apartment. They get to pick. You want to show them why they want to pick you.
Yeah, right. So it's becoming very competitive, and I mean, it was quite a shock, wasn't it, when Americans would turn up in Portugal with a whole load of financial information that back in the day, Portuguese people, landlords, weren't that interested in. But things have become so competitive now. You do need a whole lot more information, it would appear.
And it's of course because of the market is competitive, but it's also because there is very little protection for the landlords. Like, if you get a tenant that stops paying, it's very, very, very hard to deal with that. So you do want to screen as well as possible. And I mean, when you have 100 people calling you, you will of course pick the person that seems to give you the least trouble.
Yes.
So this is pretty much standard anywhere, but it's worse when there is more demand than supply. And that's the case pretty much almost everywhere with rentals.
Yep.
It's particularly bad in Lisbon and Porto, but Lisbon still takes top marks.
Right, okay. On the league tables of difficulty in securing rentals. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much, Pedro. As Adventuras de Pedro do Peixe de Galas has become a Portugal Club. Well, you will be a Portugal Club member. I think you may be already, but you become a member and supporter here for us, Pedro. I think you've got access to the Portugal Club. You let me know if you haven't, if that's difficult for you. As a member over here on YouTube, of course, we'll make that happen for you. Alan Martins saying, as a Portuguese citizen living in the USA, I never thought Portugal would turn out into San Francisco and price their citizens out of affording to live there. Who'd have thought it? Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for joining us via the Savvy Cat channel, Alan. And Hugh, hi, Carl, been away in the UK. I'll extend that to you as well, Anna. Of course, more than happy to be back home at the Quinta. Yes, quite the contrast to you. Unfortunately, a great tennis match. The French Open is on the TV. We must be heading towards Wimbledon. Right, Anna, you were heading towards telling us about this shock.
Yes, all of this was because I spent a lot of time with this friend and also my friend who lives in Ferreira do Alentejo, which is also kind of the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, I went there, I spent like 2 days in her house and I parked my Mercedes and she was so stressed, like, I'm stressed someone will steal your car. And I'm like, we're in the middle of nowhere. Who would steal my car? And she was like, well, there is this Middle Eastern immigrants in the village and they keep taking rounds around these rural areas to see what they can steal. And like even our landlords, they cannot leave the car open and what's inside will disappear. And I'm like,
yeah, you never thought you'd hear that.
what? These areas used to be the kind of places where people just left their doors open.
Too right. Yeah,
and my friend from Zurveida was also telling me that someone, their neighbor from the building next door to her, helped catch a major criminal like robbery organization that was going around in Spain and north of Portugal, because they tried to rob their house, and apparently he was a martial arts master. So he caught the guys, and then the whole police force came because apparently the police force was already on high alert because this was going on.
Work, gentlemen.
And they caught at least one of the guys, and I'm like, that kind of thing is not happening in the big cities now. Turns out it's happening in this kind of locations.
Well, I hope it's a blip and it will pass soon, that it's some sort of, minor crime. Obviously, it's terrible for the people it happens to, but let's hope that's an out of the ordinary outbreak and will be soon put right. And the strong policing of the GNR and the martial arts response from residents will have people thinking twice about taking advantage. I mean, it's a shame, isn't it? Because that's what we love about rural Portugal, isn't it?
I think this is relatively easy to explain. Low-income people are priced out of the cities and they go to low-income locations. And the problem and the reason why the far right is becoming so popular in Portugal and it was so highly voted from the interior locations can be seen right here.
Yep.
And Portugal makes it fairly easy for low-income immigration, but then has a lot of rules for higher income one. I mean, there's good people and there's bad people in all income levels, right?
Of course, yeah, absolutely. But
if you just let everyone
white collar people,
you start having a problem.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's an issue, and it's something that, as you say, it's unfair, isn't it? There's an imbalance, and when imbalances aren't dealt with in a way that people see as just being a common sense thing, that's when you get these more extreme. What's being called popular. I mean, populist used to be a compliment a long time ago. Populist meant you cared for as many people as possible. Now it means he's just a far right extremist, it would appear. But this is the formula, it would appear, that people don't feel listened to and they take quite drastic action, possibly at the ballot box, for fear of not feeling they have many options. And Simon, I think agreeing with us here, such a shame this crime is happening and a worry for sure. Well, let's hope the new government lineup with Chega in the number 2 position can figure it out together and send a strong message and keep Portugal the way it is. Because am I right in thinking, Anna, that this, the social fabric, the sense of security is very dear to Portuguese people, and there's a kind of line, okay.
And Portugal is still considered the 7th safest country in the world, and most of our crimes tend to be petty crimes and not violent ones, which is great. But we still don't like the petty crimes.
No, of course not.
But I actually also last week I made a video about the elections and the elections results.
Yes.
And that's the thing. I definitely don't want Chega to be in full power, but I do think it's a good thing that they are pressuring, because there are definitely very real problems that made them so popular, and those problems need to be solved.
Yeah, and as you said, crime exists at all levels, and you could argue that we're being robbed in quite a serious way by certain white-collar individuals as well.
Mhm.
Corruption, people in politics have been known to take the odd liberty or two, and not lose their own liberty as a result, as I think the long ongoing trial or not trial of Sokrac would evidence. And that's what makes people very cynical, isn't it, to see that they're being robbed, or they suspect they are, allegedly, at the
That
highest
people
level.
are very cynical of Portuguese justice. I think that's the biggest downside of Portugal, is the slowness and the sluggishness of Portuguese justice.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
when
that
someone
90% of the Portuguese don't trust the legal system.
yeah, and if someone says "see you in court," it's like, well, okay, yeah, that gives me a nice long run up of about 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 years.
Yeah.
It would appear. Yeah, yeah. What a shame. Hopefully, then the new energy in government will see to these things, and the more moderate centrist parties will wake up a little bit and take people seriously with their fears, founded or unfounded. That's extreme for Portugal, but in the USA, that is an everyday occurrence, 100 times over. At least in Portugal, parents don't.
Yeah, I would still say that Cerveiras and Ferreira do Alentejo are 10 times safer than LA and San Francisco and places I've been in the US.
Yeah, and let's nip it in the bud and keep it that way, for heaven's sake, because that is what people love about this country, who come here and observe that and feel safe in it. And I think in the Portuguese DNA, it's a line which should be crossed as well. Excellent. Okay, well, thank you for that. Well, excellent, I say. I'm sad to hear that, and I hope there will be a
No, but I am hopeful for the new government, and if they are indeed forming with Iniciativa Liberal, and that the Chega putting pressure there, I think it may be a good balance. Let's see how it goes.
Let's see. We can only see, can't we? With this, okay. And let's move on then to Revolut. Now, I would guess, if I had to guess, whether you are a supporter of Portuguese banks or not, I'm thinking you're not the biggest fan, because most people just aren't. And this is happening the world over, isn't it? The dinosaur banks, as I refer to them, are taking liberties. They don't pay much interest. They charge you to have a current account. And they just seem like an upselling opportunity for other consumer financially related consumer goods, wanting to sell you insurance or pensions or mortgages and so on, and they just have you there as a customer for that purpose, and sort of cherry pick you when the time is right. Thank goodness then for new unicorn style banks. I think Revolut have been described as a unicorn. There's Wise as well, as it used to be called TransferWise, and there's Revolut, and there are other cards in this market. What's your view? And is this making an impact among Portuguese people, the change from the old banks into these new digital ones?
I think they are definitely gaining popularity. I personally use Revolut for international transactions and travel. It's really nice because I pay a monthly fee and don't pay conversion fees. Yeah. And honestly, the conversion fees on regular banks are ridiculous.
Oh, don't use a bank. Do not use a bank for conversion. Definitely not.
No, that's the thing. Even when I get paid from my clients, if they come from international bank accounts, I get charged 18 euros because it came from an international bank account.
Cheek. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what you get with traditional banks. I think they are definitely feeling the pressure because, for example, there is this annoying thing that transfers between banks in Portugal will take 1 to 3 business days, which is ridiculous in this.
It is ridiculous in this day and age.
And now banks are doing the whole instant transfer, and they used to charge for it. Most of them would have this €2 charge for it, which is also ridiculous. Yep. But there are now, like, I know Caixa, for example, because I briefly had an account in Caixa, does instant transfers free of charge, at least in some conditions. So they are definitely feeling the pressure. And for example, my BPI bank, because you get the cash back from Revolut and those kinds of and things, BPI is also doing that with a number of retailers. So they are catching up slowly, very slowly.
Yeah, it is a slow process, isn't it? And I think there's a kind of sort of financial mafia at work, of course, because the Bank of Portugal oversee banking services, don't they? So presumably they keep the status quo as they wish it to be. And
Yes, because Revolut just had the headquarters in Portugal. I think it was in the beginning of this year. So it's a very recent thing, and they are just now an officially recognized bank in Portugal. And let's see the impact.
well, it's interesting. They're going to have cash machines, which ATMs, which is a really good idea, isn't it? It's a good thing for branding and raising awareness. Online digital bank, then Revolut is to open an office in Portugal this summer. I thought they were in Matosinhos already, with an ambition to become the main bank for Portuguese clients, according to news agency Lusa, quoting the bank's director for South Europe, Ignacio Zunzanegui. The fintech will also debut ATM machines, with the first 50 to be installed in Spain and Portugal, Italy, and Germany in 2026. First NTMs will be ready for use this week at the Primavera Sound Festival in Barcelona. Over the summer, machines will be installed in Madrid, Barcelona, according to the bank. After this phase, another 150 terminals, and that's when I think we're going to see them coming towards Portugal. Revolut carried out an analysis of the countries where cash machines would have the greatest penetration to define these initial markets. Okay, so they've done their research. Portugal is one of the markets in which we have the greatest penetration. Look at this, about 16 to 17% of the total population. That's really good, isn't it, for a new bank? If we think in terms of adults, it's even greater. Therefore, it is one of the next obvious markets to launch this business. And of course, big corporations think twice about Portugal because of our small population, I'm guessing. That was a comment to Lusa in Barcelona just recently. The intention is that throughout 2026, Revolut ATMs will reach Portugal, particularly Lisbon and Porto, as you would expect, the cities with the largest number of the bank's customers and also with a large number of tourists. In Portugal, the bank, specializing in the travel segment, has over 1.5 million customers and hopes to reach the 2 million mark this year. Well done, Revolut. And that was the first card I had on the way here. I was using my Revolut card.
I actually have a really cute personalized one that has emojis.
You can do that, can't you? My kids have got those. You can have kids sort of piggyback accounts. You can trade crypto and stocks. It's really, really good compared to some of the odd ways that the old banks operate, with whom I've had very little joy. I mean, the best thing to happen in the traditional banks is to meet someone who looks after you and like a friend within them. But the corporate structure itself is pretty grim. Banks in the EU, says Simon, now use SEPA, similar to the UK FPS. Thank you for that. And this for you then, Anna. Any recommendation for a credit card which is required for car hire, which is free of charge? What's the best way to go about getting a credit card in Portugal?
Honestly, traditional banks will kind of impose a credit card on you. Usually you have like this, I use BPI for a long time, and for no particular reason. It's mostly because my family used and it was quicker to move money around if it's the same.
Yeah.
It's my main account, and they charge me, I don't know if it's $5.99 on the personal account. I think it's something like that.
Yeah.
And you kind of have a credit card included. You can say no, but it will pay the same for. So technically, you are kind of stuck with it. Yes. And most banks will have that. So the credit card will kind of come along with the standard account. So you don't really pay extra for it unless you request a higher plafond and so on. And usually what I do with all my credit cards is that I don't really pay them with installments. I always use them as pay next month. So it's just like the 30 days thing, and I don't pay any fees on that.
Yeah.
In the end, I have a credit card. It's very useful for things like you said, car hire and deposits and so on. And international, I also really like to use it for online shopping because it gives you that extra security.
Oh, yeah.
Not, it's if anything goes wrong, you can complain. And actually, that's another thing. If I do most of my online shopping, and I do a lot of online shopping, I will put the money in Revolut and make the purchase from Revolut, because Revolut, although I did have some bad experience with the customer service, everything is very AI based. Um, they do get you your money back in a fairly effective way. It takes a while, but they do get it. And so I do most of my online shopping through there, because I know if I'll have issues, Revolut will probably solve it. While with the traditional bank account, not so much.
Very good. Okay, if you want a Revolut card, I've been a bit cheeky here, Anna. I don't think anyone's ever used this ever, but if somebody does want a Revolut card, that's the referral.
I think I already referred so much people, and I wasn't smart like you. So.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, no one's ever clicked the link before. It'd be interesting to see what happens if somebody does. So that's the answer to Hugh's question. With credit cards, often you'll have a kind of second account number 2, which is a credit card account with next door to your current account. So just ask your current bank if they'll give you one, and you can apply for it online sometimes as well. I did that with BCP. I made an online application, and like a basic. I think it's just basically a way of them lending you money, isn't it? It's like doing an online loan, €1,000 credit limit, and they sent the card out, and you can change that limit. And it's actually quite useful for foreigners, because you come here as a foreigner with no credit rating. If you want to build a credit rating, get a credit card which is your side account to your current account. Load up the credit card and spend on the credit card, and that will build your credit rating theoretically. Here in
our credit rating does not really work the same way that the Americans does, but of course, if you keep paying your credit card and don't have delays or issues, you will have kind of a green light on the banks, which is always positive.
Yeah.
But generally, I don't know how much they give you on credit cards if you don't have previous history. I know they keep offering me a bigger amount like every year, maybe because I always pay, but I don't know. I think it starts with like 1,500 or 2,000 euros.
Yeah, mine was 1,000 as a foreigner, so that
maybe that. Yeah.
For a foreigner. There you go, Hugh. Hope that works. Alan, I'll be quite honest, one of the reasons why I'm hesitant to come back home, and I'm sorry to hear that, Alan. I mean, presumably that's a long-held ambition to come home. What takes and the time to open a bank account? Lord, what takes time? What takes and the time to open a bank account? It might be a typo there. Get a driver's license. So bureaucracy, you're finding a little frustrating.
Yes, bureaucracy is frustrating, but you can, like, we are able to open the bank accounts online. We even have a separate service that you can hire for the NIF account, the NIF and bank account. And it does take a while, but you just need to send, all the documents over, and in like 3-4 weeks, you'll have things ready. Like, count like a month, and you'll have the documents over. For the driving license, it is a bit more of a pain, because you need to go through. You probably went through that, did you, Cara?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, to the IMT. Yeah.
Yeah, and it probably took a while. Most of my clients said that takes.
It took a long time to find the right office, and then one hot day in Leria, I think, where people were stacked in the waiting room. But we walked in, and it was really quite awkward. It was blisteringly hot. And this office, it had its doors open. It wasn't air conditioned. It was like they were hoping for a breeze to blow through while all these people were overheating, waiting in queues. And we kind of got waved to the front of the queue and had our photos taken. And it felt to me like the whole place was glaring at us. Walked in and got our driving licenses swapped. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Went to the IMT. We submitted our British driving licenses. And before that, we'd had to do the psychological test, which sounds a lot more onerous and challenging than it actually is. The doctor logged. If you go to a private doctor or a service where a doctor does that for you online, they input that into the IMT system. You surrender your country of origin license, and then they'll give you a cover note, and then they'll send you a Portuguese license eventually. Now, the agreements have changed, however. With whether you need to do that or not. So look into that. And the ACP are a good place to go to ask for that sort of information. for sure. But Alan, I'm sorry to hear that, and I'm sure Anna can help you with some of those processes on a power of attorney or in a formal way. Isn't that right, Anna?
Like I said, NIF number and bank account, we do include them in our services.
Okay.
The driving license, well, sometimes we do go with the clients to the offices if needed, but they do need to make or help them explain them where the submission is, but it kind of has to be done in their name, and it generally kind of has to be done while you're in Portugal, because you will need to go there.
Yeah. It's great to see Mike here. Mike and Karen, waiting for my driver's license. Karen received hers after 1 month after her IMT appointment. If you don't know who Mike is, this is him.
Bom dia, Portugal!
Let it be known across Miranda de Corvo. Thanks, Mike. Good to see you. Hope to see you in the Bay again sometime soon. We'll go for that stroll that we talked about. Right. Thank you, everybody, for your questions as well and comments. Simon, on car hire in Portugal, they don't accept debit cards or cash. Found out last year. For some of the deposits, I think you can use cash. I use a great combo of a company called Zest and a local firm. Zest are like the aggregator website. So
they usually accept debit cards, but probably they want a Portuguese one. They may not accept international debit cards.
Yeah, and they want to take a credit card so they can charge you if something, because it's different, isn't it? If you put a credit card on hold,
it's actually much better for you because it technically doesn't get taken out unless you do something and it gets taken out.
Yes.
Generally, when it's the credit card, it's just put on hold and then released once they verify everything is fine. While if you do it with a debit card, it will be charged and then returned, and it may take quite a while for it to be returned.
Well said. Okay, and the thing about credit cards, of course, is have a lot of capacity. If the car company do decide to charge you, you're not going to be able to spend that money elsewhere. So be careful. Have options. Have your Revolut card as well, or 2 credit cards, one with a low amount on, so the credit card company can't, the car hire company, rental company can't go mad on that. I would recommend Rent Auto, brilliant Portuguese firm, and you can find them via Zest.
They cannot charge more than the hold amount.
Okay, great. Good to know. And thanks for the info there, Simon. Yeah, Zest and Rent Auto. Drop me a message if you want the connection with Zest there, Simon. Oh, and don't get me going on Portuguese Airlines, Anna, changing dates and times. There's a new LA flight, isn't there, into Lisbon? My flight has been changed now 3 times. No way would any USA carrier get away with that. But yes, I'm coming back home. We love TAP here, don't we, Anna?
I'm actually surprised because I heard so many people in the US complaining about flights being changed and canceled, and so on and so forth. It seems like such a common thing there. I thankfully never had the flight rescheduled. Maybe I was just lucky, but I cannot say the best things about TAP. I mean, TAP is not terrible, but it's not amazing either. And they kind of had the monopoly, or until recently, they had the monopoly on the Brazil-Portugal flights. And I need to go to Brazil every year. And honestly, that's I kind of want a better airline for such long flight.
Okay, if anyone's got any recommendations.
I mean, it's okay if you go on first class, but I'm too cheap to pay for first class.
GoFundMe. Right, we've got Alan's keeping us busy tonight. I think that's why is Portugal so complicated. It's traditional, isn't it? It's a very paper-based bureaucratic country.
That's actually what the first reason on that article about the 3 things that people be aware of when coming to Portugal. It's like things take time, and that's always the first thing I warn all of my clients. Everything takes time here.
Yes,
it's the whole, relaxed, low stress, but it's only low stress if you are not used to efficient things.
And if you're not waiting
used to efficient things, it will be stressful to wait.
Absolutely. And I've had some of that this week. I was given a car. The second one I've been given in this country.
You're given cars.
I mean, I'm very grateful, and they're all bangers, and it's great. But I had to register. So I had to go into a registro office for that. And as I was sitting there, in response to what you're talking about here, Alan, AI is on its way. And don't worry, I think AI is going to cut all of these processes by 500%, and you won't have to wait very long for anything come January the 1st of next year.
That's not
And
maybe a
then
lot of
we
private
woke up.
companies will be efficient, but I would say it will be taking like 5 years to reach Portugal. We are slow.
Yeah, that was just a dream sequence there. That none of that was true, what I just said, Alan, but we can live in hope. Do you know, when it comes to the promises of AI, I think Portugal is a very special case. And it might be AI's biggest challenge. You might see robots giving up and saying, look, okay, fine, keep it how you've got it. We just can't do this here. We can't change the system. It's like set in stone. And robots crying as they try and change the system. We shall see. We shall see on that. So, and as you said there, Anna, we've got those 3 biggest lies. A bit clickbaity, of course, with this biggest lies thing. And of course, a very alluring title. I retired to the #1 country Americans want to move to the most. Don't believe these 3 biggest lies. And here they are in at #1, as you said.
It works, clickbait works.
It worked for me. It worked for me. And we should give credit to Alex Trias, who's the contributor here at Make It on CNBC, who 10 years ago moved with wife, daughter, and relocated from Washington, D.C. area to Lisbon, Portugal, living here. To be fair, has been one of the best experiences of their lives. So they're not surprised it's the country most American, or the country Americans want to move to the most, not most Americans. But once we arrived, we soon learned that some of our expectations before the move were unrealistic. #1, you'll have less stress living in a more laid-back country. However, as you said there, people do have to get used to this, don't they, Anna? What's your coaching for people who need to get used to this situation?
Well, my coaching is just, it's pretty much what says there. Like, be prepared for things to take a while. Don't expect the same efficiency you have in the US, because it won't have the same efficiency you have in the US. And you kind of have to take it from adventure and challenge perspective, and not from just all my problems is going to magically get solved. But probably some of them will, but probably you'll have some new problems.
That's very good advice. Very good advice. Yes. But some of the best advice I ever had was the 2 words calma and tranquilo when I first got here. And they are words that you should remember and put into practice. You know, it is mindfulness, really. It's a free mindfulness workshop. And also, I'm going to come up, I came up with the power of now, as in no in Portuguese, the power of now. That's something you need to get used to. Like, not today, come back tomorrow with the right paperwork, or the day after that and the day after that. And now I'm coming up with linefulness instead of mindfulness. This is waiting in queues in Portugal. It's the new practice of linefulness that I'll be writing an article about soon as well. #2 then, Anna, what do you say about this? You'll save a lot of money. That's changing, isn't it?
Well, compared to how much I spent to be in the US for 3 months, I think you're pretty good.
Okay.
I mean, there are definitely some extra costs that you have. And I think one of the major drawbacks right now is that you no longer have the NHR that give a lot of tax benefits. And now you'll have to deal with taxing on both countries. And so you will have to do a bit more of accounting math. But depending on your income, and generally the average income in the US is like 10 times higher than in Portugal. So the likelihood is that you will be spending significantly less here in Portugal, even considering the exchange and the bureaucratic costs. Yeah. But it's definitely important to actually do the math before you come, because it will always depend a lot on your actual income.
Of course. And people who have their lives based largely on their social security have some concerns in that department, not least because of the exchange rate, where they were getting perhaps 95 or even parity for their dollar. This is down to 88, 87 at the moment, isn't it? And you need a strategy for that. That can make a big difference if you've got a very tight margin. So as Anna says, do the math, figure out your budget, and don't make assumptions based on YouTube videos that you saw 5 years ago, because things have changed. Cost of living is definitely going up. It is everywhere, isn't it? But I think you make a good point, Anna, like you did about the countryside and relative safety. we still live in a fantastic country here. We're just a little bit surprised about some of the changes, as is our correspondent in this article. Number 3, you'll make friends easily in a new country. I've been talking a lot more about this recently in integration. Portuguese people, very friendly, but quite private. Isn't that right, Anna?
I think it depends on location. I think you will have more of that experience in Lisbon. And more rural locations and in Porto. Rural locations can go both ways. People can be a bit more resistant because it's something different, or they can be super welcoming because they are welcoming to everyone. But there are this, I often talk about this, the North hospitality, where you kind of stumble on the stone and are invited over for dinner. There are locations that are very much like this, but language will likely be a barrier because that is more of this kind of people often don't know English that well. Sometimes they do, but it's rare. And there are even interesting stories I've had from clients. Like, I've had clients that bought a home in a more suburb area in actually the Silver Coast area. So it's a fairly small location. And their neighbor didn't know how to speak English, but they still came over and gave them a basket and tried to introduce herself. And then they called her son over to translate. And people there, you can still have that experience, but it's not going to be like every time and super common. But I think you can still have that experience a lot. Actually, one of the things I noticed while I was in the US, and I found that everyone was so extroverted and would just try to strike a conversation in the elevator and so on. I'm actually not used to that at all here in Portugal.
Right, yeah. It's a smile, it's a bon dia, definitely a friendly bon dia, but let's not pry into each other's lives too much.
Yes, people will generally, they will maybe strike a conversation in a coffee shop or a restaurant or a bar, but if it's like more of a private location where you are trying to go around from one place to another, it's a lot less likely.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. I've missed some questions from Alan here. Wait, debit card is also a regular credit card. You have the option to use either. Debit card is the card you use for your regular transactions, which just takes the money straight out of your account. The credit card is your credit card account upon which you pay sometime in the month with interest or without if you don't pay the full amount. I hope that explains the difference.
They are actually, I had this conversation so many times with my mom. So basically, the debit cards, it gets charged immediately to your account, your current balance, while the credit card has the limit. So let's say 1,000, 2,000, whatever it is. And it usually has, the closing date. I think mine's are close. It's generally like at the mid of the month, like 16th to each month. And then you can choose how you pay on your credit card. It can be the next month, which is what most people have, so they don't pay fees. Or you can divide it in installments. So what you spent between 15th of June and 15th of July, you can pay it in like 3 or 6 installments. But if you do that, you will pay a tax, a fee.
Yeah, fee.
So,
okay.
And if you just do the 30 days, so it gets charged the next month, then you don't pay a fee, but it gets charged from your regular account the next month. The thing that can be confusing is that often you can use your credit card as debit. Like the traditional banks, often when you use the credit card, they will give you the option to use either from credit or from debit.
Right. Okay, there you go. Alan, that makes it clear up. Thank you, Anna, for that. Forgive me. A little bit of Portuguese white wine there. It is the evening. I don't usually drink on the Good Morning Portugal show because it's in the morning. But this Friday evening, here. So thank you very much. SATA was the airline in question. That's the Azorian airline, isn't it? So
I don't think I flied with them yet.
I think they might have logistical problems, which might explain some things. I mean, transatlantic and hopping across the islands there, they might have some fleet difficulties, Alan, that are causing some of those changes. Maybe, I don't know. And this is hilarious. Takes time. I'm married to an American wife. Do you offer a special kind of service for Portuguese / American households?
No, not really. But if there is a Portuguese person in the household, it will make your visa process a lot easier.
Oh, there you go. That's the upside there for your American spouse there. Excellent, Alan. Thank you for that. And yeah, remember where you heard it first. Portugal will kill AI. That's priceless, but it may be true. Yes, watch out and find out what happens with that. Now, this is great. Oh, my dog Smells is here. Great information. We plan on using Anna's service next year to find an apartment in the Caldish area. Expert at doing so. Team are expert at doing so with that. Best reasons to move back. Number one, you're not paying $1,100 a month for real estate. That's probably the charges. That's not his rent, is it? That's his like a housing association, probably.
That's actually not that hard nowadays in Portugal, but
yeah, but I'm guessing that $1,100 is a real estate like a homeowners association fee or something.
Okay.
I think it's on top.
Yeah,
of
we don't have that. Definitely not for like it would be the equivalent of condominium, I guess.
Yes, yeah, and nothing like that.
Our condominiums are generally not absurd like that.
You won't be paying $2,200 a month for health insurance if you're not retired and not 65 yet. That's so true. I
pay less than that for a year.
Yeah, you get a lot of health insurance for that sort of money. 3, you won't be paying $65,000. That's a good value education, I think, isn't it? Sometimes I heard the other day $400,000 is the total amount some people are paying for a top quality education. I mean, no disrespect. I'm sure that's the sort of the top names in universities, but $400,000. And it sounds like the very least you'll have to pay is $65,000 a year for your kids' college, and 4. You're not going to get pastel de natas and alcatra. Now, which alcatra is that? Not Alcantara in Lisbon, but somewhere else by the sound of it. Let us know where that is. It's also a cut of beef, isn't it, the alcatra? Let us know what that is, Alan. And finally, then, shall we move on to the busiest beach here in Portugal? One of the busiest in the world. Did you guess this right, Anna, when you saw that question?
Actually, I didn't, because I didn't have the time to open that article, so it will be a surprise for me.
What's your guess? What's your guess for Portugal's busiest beach? One of the busiest in the world?
Probably somewhere in the Algarve. Maybe like either the Lagos or the Albufeira one, I'm guessing.
Very good. Pretty close. It's the Falésia beach. And this is from the Portugal.
Is that Carvoeiro? No.
I don't think it is that beautiful Carvoeiro beach. Praia da Falésia in the Algarve. So you're absolutely right about that. And I'm actually trying to find the actual location. I think it's near Albufeira.
I'm going to ask Google.
Yes, we will. We'll look that up. Praia da Falésia is often highlighted for its size and photogenic landscapes. However, the growing popularity of this Portuguese, a victim of its own success here, Portuguese beach has resulted in a high rate of complaints about overcrowding.
It's the Vila Moura one.
Okay, Vila Moura, well done. And I'm tempted to read the comments because they're hilarious in the Portugal news. Sometimes get some very cross people letting off steam over there. But that's a very quick quiz. That's the busiest beach. Basically, avoid it in the summer. Go there in the winter, and you'll have the most amazing time because it is beautiful. And
I usually say that the best time to go to the Algarve, it's either May or September, and nowadays often October.
Yeah, very good call. Very good call. You only pay housing association fees or homeowners association if you live in a community, not a regular house. Real estate tax. Real estate tax. Oh, the real estate tax is $1,100. Oh my God! And around $400 for the condominio fees there. Yeah, I mean, these are very good reasons to be moving to Portugal, Alan. Islands, Anna. Do you know how many islands Portugal has?
There's actually a lot more than you think. So Azores has 7 or 9. Then Madeira. Then there is the Faro and the Ria Formosa ones that I think are like, there's a bunch of them. There's like 6 or 7.
And then you've got the Berlengas, haven't you, as well?
There's Berlengas, but that's a rock. That's not an island. That's a rock.
Well, according to geographers, it is an island. Portugal has over 100 islands.
Really? Okay, that's because they're counting rocks, but sure. The
They
ones
are.
you can
Some of them-
actually go to, that I would say they're like 20 at most.
23
23.
inhabited.
There we go.
23. Well done. Yeah. Maybe that went in when you were at school. 23 inhabited islands in Portugal. So many more are giving Indonesia a run for its money there. Sweden has the most islands, actually.
Wow, surprised. I
Yeah,
had
who
no
knew?
idea.
It must be something to do with the fjords. Simon, I'm worried about my trip to the UK when I fly back to Lisbon Airport. Yes. Are you hearing about this from some of your clients about the delays at the airport? Anna, anything on that?
I've been seeing it on the news, but so far none of my clients had major issues. I actually had a client that was quarantined. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but that
medical
was the
reason.
only thing.
Medical quarantine. Or
Yeah.
maybe there was only medical quarantine. Okay. So don't be sneezing or whatever. Leaking.
He
Don't be
probably
leaking.
had like something on his skin that alerted the. I don't know.
What? Weeping sores. Cover up your weeping sores or whatever that was. Bubonic plague.
I have
heard of
no
that.
idea why he was quarantined,
Terrifying.
but I know he was quarantined.
Wow. Okay. So yes, perhaps the least of your worries, but still a concern. Yes, they have implemented new systems, and the anecdotal information I've been hearing is that there are just 4 staff on, whilst there are like 4 planes arriving, and it's not working very well. Other people arrive, walk straight through. It's a lottery. When it's bad, it's bad. And when it's good, it's fantastic. You just waltz through. It's
I
like,
think generally the biggest problem is the amount of workers they have at the airport, because, last time I went to the Lisbon airport, I went to Brazil, to international, and there was like 10 cabins and only 3 of them have workers.
Yeah. What are those other ones for? Are they just for storing paperwork?
Yeah, it annoys me so much, because they're like, oh, we need a new airport. No, you don't need a new airport.
Just
You
use the one
need
you've
to make
got.
the one you already have working and actually have people there.
Very good. Okay, coming up to 8 o'clock. It's a bon fin semana from us, but last word to you, Anna, of Savvy Cat Realty. Find out about Anna and her services and her team at savvycatrealty.com. Last word to you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Go on, go ahead. We need a last pearl of wisdom.
Oh,
from
you need the last word.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, like, for the summertime, there's a thing like summertime in the Algarve is the most popular touristic region in Portugal, and the same thing for Porto and Lisbon. So I understand that a lot of people can only travel in the summertime because of their kids and so on, and that's also why it gets so crowded.
Yep.
But if you do have the chance and the opportunity, you probably will have a much more pleasant time if you travel around springtime, like I said, like May, even April, March. June is generally still okay, but it's already getting a bit crowded. But July and August is generally very crowded, especially in the Algarve. And a question that my clients often have is, does that affect the real estate market? Honestly, not as much as you think.
Right.
It affects a bit more in the Algarve because you actually have more buyers, because there's a huge market for vacation houses.
Yep.
But it's not about the amount of property that goes in. You actually don't have a huge difference between the amount of property and the market between seasons. You just get more of it that gets sold during the summertime. So it's kind of the thing, like if you're looking to buy in the Algarve, you'll probably have more people looking during the summertime, and some of those options will be taken away. But then again, during the winter time, you probably will have a bit more wiggle room for negotiation because there's less people on the market. But in average, one of the huge differences between America and Portugal is, once again, time. And in average, houses stay in the market at least 6 months, and it's very often for it to be like 8 to a year. So, but 6 months is the average for a normal, decently priced house. So things are not fast here.
Okay, there you go. Thank you from My Dog Smells to you. Anna is awesome from Tanya Giggle. That's a great name. Enjoy your festa, says Donna. Have a good evening. It's still afternoon here in Florida. And yes, I meant to say Facebook Marketplace is a great hack if you're selling your stuff in the States. And people are actually making quite a lot of money liquidating all the old stuff they've been saving for the last few decades. Thank you guys for your time. Be safe and keep living the good life. Thank you, Alan. We will. And thank you for your little tidbit hack here. It's been taking years, you've heard. If you apply for your USA-born child in Portugal, applied for my daughter's citizenship here at my Portuguese embassy, only took 6 months. That is really good information. Thank you for that, Anna, and thank you for your company, as well as everybody's this evening. And thank you, Peda, for your member support as well. Anna, bon fin semana to you. Até próxima. Yeah, we'll see you next month, won't we? This seemed to work for you in the evening. Should we do this again?
Yes, I like evenings. Please don't make me go up at 8 a.m. again.
All right, I won't. Ciao. Thank you very much. Bye for now.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need